You got questions, we got answers. Here are all the answers to the most frequently asked questions we've been getting over the last couple months here at the World Series of Board Gaming. Number 1, different ticket tiers. Can I attend the World Series without purchasing a ticket into the tournament? Short answer, we actually have an outer ring ticket tier that would fall into that category. It's $150 and it gets you access to all of the events that are happening other than that major tournament. So you won't be competing for the rings and the $25,000 prize associated with our winner, but you can compete in a number of different smaller outer ring tournaments. This also encompasses the Dice Throne ticket. If you are just interested in competing in the Dice Throne national event that is being housed within the World Series of Board Gaming, that's why this ticket exists as well, to give you access to all the outer rings, access to the Dice Throne National Championship, and access to the Dice Tower West library that we have rented for the event. All you can game, a large gaming library, tons of events. You get access to all of that with this outer ring ticket, only $150. So that's the ticket tier that you want to be clicking on. If you're interested in participating in the tournament, well then you would pick either a single event, a double event, a quadruple ring event, depending upon the number of entries that you want to participate in. With those, you also get access to all the other perks, obviously, but if you're just interested in that sort of outer ring experience, checking out the exhibitor hall, participating in the events, and playing in the open gaming library, well, we got you covered. That's what the outer ring pass is for. Here's a big one. Number 2, do I have to bring my own games? The current answer is no, you don't. Obviously, if we get a large boom in ticket sales, we might have to ask a few people to bring their own copies, but last year, in our first year, we asked people to bring their own games. We couldn't pull off a tournament of this scale without people bringing their games, but we have many sponsors that have stepped up and have donated copies of the games, other sponsors who have purchased copies of the games for you all to play with. We are well on our way in securing all of the games, and barring a huge influx of ticket sales, we should be covered, meaning you don't have to bring your own games, you don't have to worry about owning a copy, you just need to worry about going, playing, having a good time, and winning that $25,000. So clearing it up once and for all, you don't need to bring your own games. That was a first year thing. This year we are working hard to make sure that doesn't need to happen. Next up, the games themselves. Have any ring games reached capacity? Currently, no, but we're getting close on a few. I know at the time of this video, Patchwork is filling up and there are only a few spots left available. When a game completely sells out, we will make sure to mark it on the website as sold out. No more tickets can be purchased for that game. There are still spots in each of the games, but if you want to secure your spot, well, that's the reason why you should purchase your ticket. You shouldn't be able to purchase a ticket or book a spot for any game that has reached capacity. So if you're trying to and it goes through and you don't get an email from us the day after or two saying, oh, we're so sorry, something went wrong with the system, you actually were the first person to miss out on that event, then you can assume that the ring events are still open. But it is worthwhile booking your tickets because a lot of them are filling up. And if you want to play in one, it's better to secure that spot for yourself rather than wait a couple months down the road only to have those spots be taken. Next question is, how can I change the games that I want to play? And that can be 2 options. You can send us an email. We have a contact form on the World Series of Board Gaming website, WSBGVegas.com, and you can fill out the contact form and say, hey, this is who I am, this is what I want to have happen, and we'll make it happen on the back end. You also now have an attendee portal, which you can go in, you put in your email, you get a code, it logs you into your own specific attendee portal, making sure that you have access to all of those sorts of changes, and that includes the outer ring events as well. Since you can schedule a couple of them in advance, this is how you can navigate those changes and make sure that you're signed up for the best friggin' week of your life. Another question on the games that we've been getting is, how will the game sizes be determined? Because there are variable player counts, right? It could be 3, it could be 4, it could be 5. Most often, and what we are aiming for, are generally tables of 4, or in Patchwork's case, tables of 2. This may have to change depending upon the number of players signed up, the inner workings of the tournament, You'll see last year, if you watched some of the coverage, we had a couple 5-player games, and that was really based upon necessity in order to affect the overall tournament the most. Our goal is for you to have the best experience possible, and so our tournament director is hard at work juggling the numbers, formatting everything, and those final things will be decided once ticket sales close and we have the final numbers. But generally, we are aiming for that 4-player count, obviously depending upon the number of entrants and the number of rounds that need to be played. Another question, speaking of Patchwork, is Patchwork a possibility for the finals? As you know, Patchwork is only a 2-player game, so how does that final work? If Patchwork happens to be drawn as the finals, well, there's just going to be 2 rounds. You'll take 2 people, and then they'll go on and compete in that main final event. If it happens to be the final table, you have 2 rounds, and then it's first and second competing off against each other, and then it's third and fourth competing off against each other as the sort of final money table. So that's how Patchwork works. Don't worry, Patchwork is a possibility, and we have contingencies for it all. Next question, for the Dice Throne tournament, will there be a selection of characters, or do you need to bring your own? Because of the nature of Dice Throne, there are a ton of characters. There's 26 characters that exist right now, if you're including Santa and Krampus. And so in order for that tournament to work, you will have to bring your characters. Generally, you will bring 3 characters, and then your opponent will veto one of them, and you'll play with 2 characters against their 2 characters. Whoever wins with both of their characters ends up moving on to the next round. That's kind of how their finals are structured. So you do need to bring your characters, but you just bring your favorite characters that you like, plop those game trays on the table, and get to chucking dice. What hotel is the event taking place in? This event is going to be taking place at the Horseshoe Casino, located in Las Vegas, right on the Strip. So you're next to all the action. If you feel like taking a break from board gaming, you got everything Vegas can offer right at your fingertips. Next question has to do with scheduling. The question was, is it viable to play Lost Ruins of Arnak and Blood Rage, both of the Outer Ring tournaments, on the same day, or will they overlap? And generally, when this question in terms of scheduling the Outer Ring events comes up, it's variable, right? It's variable for the main tournament. With the main tournament, you can only play once per day. In the Outer Ring tournament, if you happen to be playing a game of Lost Ruins of Arnak and you get booted out, and Blood Rage starts at 2 o'clock, Lost Ruins starts at 11 a.m., for example, well then sure, you're no longer in the Lost Ruins of Arnak tournament. You can walk over to the Blood Rage tournament and you can say, hey, are there still spots left? And if there are, you jump on in. The Outer Ring tournaments are meant to be flexible, right? So they're meant to have the ability for people to book in advance to secure the ones that they really want, but they also are meant to be just fun ways to drop in and play for many prizes. So if there's a spot in the tournament, absolutely welcome to jump in, as long as you aren't playing 2 games at the same time and have to run back and forth between each table and each room taking your turns. That is generally frowned upon, but otherwise, if you happen to be out and you have time in your schedule and there are open spaces, you're more than welcome to participate in as many tournaments, as many Outer Ring tournaments as you have the space and time for, provided that there's still space in the tournament since they're capped at a certain number. Next question is about guest passes. The question is, can standard guest passes be pre-purchased, or are those done on-site during the event? That's a great question. They can absolutely be pre-purchased, and depending upon which tier of ticket tier you've purchased, of single ring entry, double ring entry, whatever ring entry, you get access to purchasing a certain number of guest passes as well. That's all done on our end of the ticketing system. It's best to do it beforehand as well. Because it is this tournament setting, we're not necessarily sure we're going to have options to purchase tickets on site. So it's much better to purchase it in advance so that we know the numbers. We can make sure that everybody's covered. Just makes it a lot easier. Book your guest passes before you come and bring them into your hotel room. And absolutely bring some guests. That's part of the... And absolutely bring some guests. That's part of the reason why we have these guest passes, so that you have a fan group there supporting you. They can have fun in the outer gaming area while you toil away and win yourself $25,000. And when that's done, you can all go out for dinner and explore Vegas and just participate and experience the event as well. So purchase them in advance, lock that fan group down, get matching shirts, the whole 9 yards. Again, as I look through the questions, let me reiterate that you do not have to worry about bringing games. You don't. If you've signed up now, or you sign up within the next 20 minutes. With enough time for us to reasonably be able to accommodate getting the games, that is what we are going to do. We are working with publishers, we're getting the copies of the games, we're getting sponsorships to support buying all the games needed. We want to make this as seamless an experience for you all and as easy an experience for you all to just show up, have a wonderful time, bring home some souvenirs in all that space in your bag that you've saved, and you don't have to worry about purchasing the games. Last year, that was a big thing, right? Last year, some people were worried. They said, oh no, I forgot my game and went out and were worried about buying copies. We had budgeted for that for those people who forgot or weren't able to bring it. This time, we want to take all of that out of the equation, make sure that your experience is as seamless and easy as possible. And that's why we're committed to doing this sort of thing. And finally, a great question, do players need to be familiar with all games chosen since any of them could get randomly picked in the finals? I'd say it's a pretty good idea, at least to be a little familiar. The goal of this competition is to find the best all-around board gamer. And the reason why I personally like this format is because I think that the skills in board gaming, the ways of thinking, how you operate a board, how you develop an engine, how you try and figure out efficiencies of different puzzles, I think all of those skills can be applied to a lot of different games. If you're a good gamer, you might be a good gamer and you might be a good gamer in various other games, right? So having a base familiarity with the games is always a good idea, because you never know if that one game that you're worried about will be drawn into your semifinal game. In the finals, you can veto that game. You can make sure, hey, I do not feel comfortable playing game X. And so you take that out of contention, it's not going to be in the competition. So you have that chance to eliminate one game, which is good. So you can suss out your competition, see who's there, see which one you don't think you'd be successful at, and give yourself better odds to go home with that $25,000 prize. So having that sort of base knowledge, I think, is really good. And then for how much you want to practice, well, that's your decision. We had a wide variety of players last year. I think somebody who made it to the finals and who was in the lead for almost the majority of the game, who just lost and just fell down to third place, I don't think he'd ever played Dune Imperium before. And that was our final game last year. But because he had those skills, he was able to make a really competitive showing. And honestly, for the most part of the game, I thought he was going to take it because he was just shooting up and everyone had to really scramble to catch him. So I understand the idea of needing to practice, but it'll be hard to practice all these games. For me personally, I would say that if you're familiar with them and you're a good board gamer, you got yourself a shot. And what was really lovely is that heading into the semifinals overnight, people were learning and people were getting strategy tips, and they were getting strategy tips from their other competitors because everybody just wanted people to be playing at a really solid level. Everyone wanted people to just be there having a good time, giving it their all. And that was so lovely to see. So those are the questions that we've been receiving a little bit over the last little while. If you have any other questions, feel free to drop them down below or send us a message over on our website, WSBGVegas.com, and somebody will get back to you with an official reply. Absolutely any other questions, we're happy to answer because we want this to be the best event possible and we want you to be ready to have the time of your friggin' life. So anything that we can do to help facilitate that, for sure we're gonna do. Anyway, thank you for watching, thank you for tuning in, thanks for purchasing your ticket, and I cannot wait to see you all in Vegas.